I am a part of this house too. I am your family member, you know. My mother-in-law Phyllis snickered when I said that. Huh? Who are you? Who do you think you are? My family only consists of 4 people. No matter what I do, my mother-in-law seems to treat me like a stranger. I ran out of patience and decided to go back to my parents' house. When my parents heard what I had to say, they were furious.
I will have a nice chat with them.
But I calmly replied to my parents, Don't worry, I've already got my revenge from them. My name is Brianna. I'm 34 years old and I work from home. I recently got married to a man named Todd. We met at a matchmaking party held by my friend. Working from home, I rarely met anyone, and my friend, who was worried about that, set up the matchmaking party for me. All my life, I have been devoted to my studies, and my love life was secondary. Even after I became an adult, I continued to focus on work and didn't prioritize my love life, so before I knew it, I was almost turning in my 30s without having any experience in love. Then, I met Todd at the matchmaking party I attended. He was very bright, and he stood out at the party. I was very nervous because it was my first time to attend a party like this, but he talked to me a lot, and I was able to fit in well thanks to him. Then we changed seats, and everyone started talking to their neighbors, and I ended up next to Todd. So we talked about a lot of things.
Huh. Brianna, you work from home. That's so cool. It sounds like what people would do nowadays.
Oh, you think so? Personally, I think it's pretty dull.
That's not true. You should have more confidence in yourself.
I was glad he complimented me like that. And he even asked me out on a date. I had been attracted to him from the party, so I said yes to his date request and we went out together on our day off. He was very interesting to talk to, and he kept leading me and pulling me along to do some things on the date. I was quite reserved when it came to romance, so I think a type like him was a good match for me. We even got married a year after we started dating. I was surprised that I got married much quicker than I had imagined. But I was very happy that he proposed to me and I wanted to marry him. Besides, I felt like I was at the right age to marry him, and I think he had that same idea in mind. Well, that's what I at least thought so at the time. Then we greeted each other's parents. There I met my in-laws for the first time. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Brianna. Hi, nice to meet you. We are Todd's parents. Thank you for marrying such a boy like him.
Hey, Mom, what do you mean?
Oh, you're right. I used the wrong word. Thank you for marrying such a guy like him.
What? That didn't change anything.
I was so amused by the exchange between him and his mother that I let out a laugh. At first, I was nervous about the wedding greeting, but thanks to his mother, I felt relaxed. From then on, the wedding greeting proceeded in a pleasant atmosphere from start to finish. Brianna, I'm looking forward to being your family for a long time. Yes, me too. Thank you very much. After that, the meeting between the two families was successfully completed, and Todd and I had a nice ceremony. All my friends attended the ceremony and congratulated me greatly for my marriage. I was very satisfied that the wedding ceremony was done exactly as I wanted it to be. After the wedding, my husband and I went on our honeymoon. It was my first time to go abroad, and I was very impressed by how wonderful it was. It was to Maldives, and it was a valuable experience for me as I had never left the US before. I would like to travel abroad regularly in the future, is what I thought to myself. Then my husband and I returned back to the US. Our joyful newlywed life was about to begin. I excitedly got off at the airport. Then my husband said this to me.
Actually, I have already prepared a room for us to live together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've already moved my stuff, so all I have to do is move Brianna's stuff. Why don't we pack up and move in together now?
Yeah, I will. I was surprised, not knowing that my husband had done that as a surprise. But I was very happy that he was thinking like that to make our newlywed life better together. Then my husband helped me pack my belongings. As expected, it was difficult to finish packing in one day, so we divided it into 2 or 3 days and packed little by little. We decided that if we were going to spend a few days, we should call a moving company, so I had my necessary belongings loaded onto a truck, and my husband and I drove to the new house. I was excited to get in the car with my husband, but I felt a certain discomfort on the way. The roads around here do look familiar. I remember there's a supermarket here, and I think I have been here once. My husband entered a residential area, and it was at this point that I finally realized where we were headed. Hey, could this new house be... When I asked him that, he turned the wheel and said,
My parents' house, of course.
What? I said so, feeling really surprised. Wait a minute. You mean we're going to live with my mother-in-law and father-in-law?
Yes, that's right.
What? I didn't hear anything about this.
Well, that's because it's a surprise.
What the heck? I'm not at all happy about that surprise. As I was turning pale, my husband saw my facial expression and became grumpy.
What? You don't want to live with my parents?
No, that's not it, but I just wanted you to discuss such an important matter naturally to me, instead of keeping quiet about it.
But if I do that, then it wouldn't be a good surprise.
And that's why I said there's no need to make it a surprise. I was a little irritated that my husband, who couldn't understand my feelings and my tone, became a little colder. My husband became even grumpy and said angrily,
What's with that attitude? You're the one who married me and married into my family. What your husband says is absolute. Don't be selfish and just do what I say.
I was so surprised at the change in my husband's attitude that I froze. My husband had been very kind to me when we were dating and had been a gentleman to me. But he was a different person in front of me right now.
We got here, so get off.
I had no choice but to get out of the car. Then my mother-in-law Phyllis came out from their house. Todd, Brianna, welcome home. Saying so, Phyllis greeted us with a huge smile. I was surprised by my husband's sudden declaration that we were going to live together, but the fact that Phyllis greeted us so kindly made my anxiety disappear a little. My parents-in-law are nice people, so living together might not be hard. Well, if possible, I wanted to live only with just the two of us at first. I've already asked the movers to move my stuff, so there's no backing out now. I was not convinced, but I had no choice but to move in with my in-laws. But this decision was a huge mistake I had made. I should have left my parents-in-law at that time, even if I had to throw everything away. I went to my in-laws' house with a lot of anxiety. On the first day, my in-laws treated me kindly, and I felt a little calmer. However, I felt a little distrustful towards my husband. I wondered if that overbearing attitude of Todd was his true nature. At dinner that night, my husband was in a good mood after having his favorite food delivered to his house, so I did not know if it was his true nature or not. But the next day, I would soon regret coming to this house. When I woke up in the morning and went to the living room, Phyllis had a scary look on her face. Good morning. I thought she might be angry, so I greeted her quietly. But Phyllis did not respond back and ordered me to make breakfast as soon as possible. When I was being stunned, Phyllis looked annoyed and yelled at me. Why are you just standing there? Get moving. Prepare breakfast. I had no choice but to stand in the kitchen after being yelled at like that. But I didn't know where the cooking utensils and seasonings were, and I didn't want to be asked to cook a meal for the family all of a sudden. As I fumbled around, Phyllis let out a deep sigh. Oh, no. You can't do any housework at all, can you? You are useless as a wife. I don't know why she'd say that to me. Then Phyllis glared at me. What's with that face? Huh? You're making a face like you're trying to go against me. Oh, no. You're a cocky wife, you know. You've married into this family, and you have to do as we tell you to do. I was completely speechless. Phyllis was making the same comments as what Todd had said yesterday. Perhaps the true nature of the people in this house is the same for everyone, and they intend to treat the wife as slaves. As I was preparing breakfast with this thought in mind, my husband and father-in-law, Dan, woke up. My father-in-law said one word. Coffee. As I was concentrating on preparing breakfast, I heard Dan's angry voice.
Hey, you! I said coffee. Can you not hear well?
Dan apparently said that one word coffee to tell me to prepare coffee. I was surprised, but quickly prepared the coffee.
My goodness, what a useless wife you are. I guess you haven't done any housework in your life, have you?
Dan sipped his coffee while saying such a thing. I realized that not a single person in this house was on my side, and for the rest of the day my in-laws were always trying to bully me. You're the housewife, so it's natural that you have to do all the housework.
It's only natural, since Todd is the one who feeds for you.
My in-laws would say things like that. I explained many times that I work from home, but they would not listen to me. My husband's goal seemed to be to take me to my in-laws and use me as their housekeeper, and they didn't even feel guilty at what they were doing to me.
You better listen to my mother and father. If I hadn't married you, no one would have taken you in as a wife. My husband would often verbally abuse me like that, and every single time I heard him say those things, I got depressed. When I didn't rebel and did as they said, my in-laws got more and more out of line and stopped treating me like a person. First of all, they stopped calling me by name and only said, "Hey, you!" Then they started to use words to denigrate my personality on a daily basis. My in-laws kept saying, "You parasite." And before I knew it, my husband started calling me a parasite too. I wanted to leave this house, but I knew that if I just ran away, I would end up not being able to have a chance to get back at them. My in-laws would probably go around telling my neighbors and relatives that I was a terrible wife and made me look bad. I cannot allow that to happen. I was actually looking for an opportunity to revenge on my in-laws. That's why I've been going through these hardships. In the midst of all this, something happened that was indeed unbearable for me. It happened one day. My husband unusually asked me to make a reservation at a fancy restaurant. Normally, I would think this was just an order, but it was almost my husband and I's wedding anniversary. I was surprised because I didn't think my husband would remember our anniversary. I was just a little bit happy and tried to call and make a reservation. But when I tried to make a reservation for 2, Phyllis suddenly snatched the phone away from me. "Please make a reservation for 4 people." She then hung up the phone. "What are you doing?" I said as I asked her to give me the phone back. Phyllis replies, "You made a reservation for 2 people. Are you an idiot?" But my husband and I were celebrating our wedding anniversary that day. When I said that much, Phyllis interrupted me and said, "What? What are you talking about? Who cares about that? My daughter who studied abroad is coming home that day, so we're all going out for dinner as a family." Excuse me? Apparently, my mother-in-law was planning to go to a restaurant not with me, my husband, and my father-in-law, but with them and my sister-in-law. I was completely appalled. I am a part of this
house too. I am your family member, you know. My mother-in-law, Phyllis, snickered when I said that. Huh? Who are you? Who do you think you are? My family only consists of 4 people. You're just a slave, a housekeeper. Don't ever get the wrong idea. No matter what I do, my mother-in-law seems to treat me like a stranger. Since I ran out of patience, I decided to go back to my parents' house. I then packed my bags and went to my parents' house while my in-laws went to the fancy restaurant. My parents were surprised to see me arrive with my large luggage. I explained to my parents about my life at my in-laws until now. My parents were furious when they heard what I had to say.
I'll have a chat with them.
But I calmly replied to my parents, Don't worry, I've already taken my revenge.
What?
My parents both looked confused. I told my mother, It's been a while since I've had your meals, Mom, and I want to relax, and went inside the house. And my mother put all her skill into cooking many delicious home-cooked meals. While I was enjoying my mother's cooking, my phone rang repeatedly. Most of the calls and messages were from my husband and mother-in-law, so I decided to turn off my phone. That day, I took a relaxing bath at my parents' house and went to sleep in a relaxed state. Then the next day, when I turned on my phone, I still received many calls from my mother-in-law and husband. I had no choice but to answer the phone. Then I heard my mother-in-law's panicking voice. You! What are you doing? You can't just leave the divorce papers and take all your stuff with you. That's exactly what I mean. I can no longer live with you people. I can't stand your bullying anymore. As I said this, I heard my husband's voice. Apparently, the phone was on speaker.
You've got to be kidding me. I won't allow you to divorce me. I mean, come home right now and do the housework, you parasite.
Todd spits out his words. I really don't know how I can deal with these people anymore. Because you keep on behaving like that, that's why I don't want to live with you all anymore.
What? Hey, you better be joking. A wife is supposed to do whatever her husband and his family says. If you don't understand that, you're not qualified to be a wife. I struggled to hold back my laughter at my husband, who was getting himself into more and more trouble. Why don't you just leave it at that already? Huh? What do you mean?
Did you really think that I haven't done anything for about the last 6 months or so? I kept a notebook of all the times you people have abused and bullied me, and I recorded every horrible word you said to me. I even recorded what you said on the phone just now.
What the? How dare you?
My in-laws started to get upset, so I decided to tell them all about my plan. I have all the evidence of the treatment I received from you guys, and after showing it to them, I'm consulting with my lawyer. According to my lawyer, I can get a divorce due to it being your fault, Todd, and I can also get compensation for the damages you caused.
Compensation?
And my revenge won't end just like that. I'm sending copies of the bullying records to your workplace, your father-in-law's workplace, your relatives, and your neighbors. And a certified letter to your workplace. When I said this, my in-laws fell silent.
Oh no.
I heard my husband's voice, which sounded like a squeezed, fading voice. And I finally said, Oh, and you keep calling me a parasite and talking about other people, but I do work from home and I make a lot more money than your son. I know you people don't understand that because you think I'm just a housewife just because I'm home. If you think I'm lying, why don't you ask your idiot son? Either way, I'm definitely getting a divorce anyway, and I'm getting compensation. Well, that's all from me, so don't call me anymore. If you call again, I'll call the police. I said that to them over the phone. My in-laws became quiet at once, so I hung up the phone and blocked their numbers from my phone. After that, as expected, my in-laws got a lot of criticisms from people around them. Both Dan and my husband are getting cold shoulder from people at work. Furthermore, the relatives cursed at them, saying, "You are a disgrace to your relatives," and "Don't even come to your relatives' gatherings." As for Phyllis, she became mentally ill and became a shut-in because her neighbors stopped hanging out with her. On the other hand, I successfully got a divorce from my husband and also got compensation. I am now working from home at my parents' house and enjoying my days, occasionally traveling abroad with my parents. I will continue to take my parents to various countries to take care of them as their daughter, while working hard at my job. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.